Have you ever looked at your bank account and thought, wait, I'm making more money than I used to, so why does it feel like I'm not actually getting ahead? Like you got a raise, you're earning more than you were 5 years ago. On paper, you're doing better. But somehow, groceries feel more expensive. Rent feels heavier. Saving feels harder. And every year, it feels like the finish line just keeps moving. If that sounds familiar, yeah, you're not imagining things. Because there's a tax you're paying every single day, it's not on your paycheck, it's not on your tax return, and it's not something you ever voted for. But it's quietly taking money from you anyway. This is the invisible tax. And almost no one really understands how it works. My name is Jay, and I spend way too much time thinking about how money actually works behind the scenes. And if you're someone who works hard, saves what they can, tries to do the right financial things, but still feels like the system is stacked against you, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if this video helps you see money a little differently, give it a thumbs up. It really does help the channel. All right, let's talk about the tax no one explains to you. Here's the thing. Most people think taxes are obvious. Income tax, sales tax, property tax. You see them, you feel them, you complain about them, but what if I told you the biggest tax you pay isn't listed anywhere? What if I told you it's quietly draining your purchasing power every year, even when your paycheck goes up, even when your bank balance looks stable, even when you think you're being responsible? This is where most people get it wrong, because they focus on how much money they have, not what that money can actually buy. And that difference is everything. Now, you've heard the word inflation. Everyone has. But inflation is one of those words that's technically correct and practically useless the way it's usually explained. They tell you inflation is 2% or 3% or temporarily higher. But here's what most people don't realize. Inflation isn't a price increase. Inflation is a loss of purchasing power, which means every dollar you hold is slowly losing its ability to buy real things. That loss, that's the invisible tax. And unlike income tax, you don't get a bill. Unlike sales tax, you don't see it on the receipt. It just happens. Let me give you a real number. According to data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, a dollar in the year 2000 has the same buying power as about 60 cents today. Let that sink in. That means 40% of your money's value has quietly disappeared in a little over 2 decades. No vote, no law passed that you remember, no dramatic announcement, just erosion. Let's make this real. Say in the year 2000, you had $10,000 saved. You didn't gamble it. You didn't waste it. You didn't do anything wrong. You just let it sit. Today, that $10,000 has the purchasing power of about $6,000, which means the invisible tax took $4,000 from you, and you never even noticed. Now here's where the psychology gets interesting. Humans are really bad at noticing slow losses. If someone stole $4,000 from you overnight, you'd freak out. But if that same $4,000 disappears slowly, over years, we rationalize it. We say things like, everything's just more expensive now. That's just how the world is. I guess this is normal. This is called money illusion, a concept studied by economists for decades. We focus on nominal numbers, the number on the screen, not real value, what it can actually buy. And the invisible tax exploits that weakness perfectly. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Jay, but inflation is just part of life. There's nothing I can do about it. That's partially true. You can't eliminate inflation. But here's the dangerous assumption people make. They assume inflation is equal for everyone. It's not. Here's what most people don't realize. Inflation hits different people differently. If most of your money is sitting in cash, sitting in a low-interest savings account, or barely growing, you're paying a much higher invisible tax than someone whose money is invested productively. Let me explain. Say inflation averages 3% and your savings account earns 0.5%. That means every year you're losing 2.5% in real terms. On $20,000, that's $500 per year gone quietly. Over 10 years, that's about $5,000 in lost purchasing power. Again, no bill, no warning, just gone. I want you to picture two people, same age, same income, same savings. Person A keeps $30,000 in cash because it feels safe. Person B invest that same $30,000 in assets that roughly keep up with inflation. Fast forward 10 years, person A feels confused. I saved all this money. Why does it feel like I can't afford the same lifestyle? Person B doesn't feel rich, but they don't feel poorer either. Same effort, different outcome. Why? The invisible tax. This is where it gets really interesting. Here's the part almost no one talks about. Inflation doesn't just change prices. It changes behavior. When people feel their money losing value, they start making emotional decisions. Spending sooner, saving less, chasing risk, or freezing entirely. This is why inflation isn't just an economic force, it's a psychological one. It quietly trains people to stop thinking long term, addressing objection. Now, some of you are thinking, Jay, investing feels risky. I don't want to lose money. Totally fair. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Not investing is also a risk. It's just a slow, socially acceptable one. The invisible tax doesn't feel dangerous until you look back. Think of it like this. Imagine your money is an ice cube. Cash is leaving it out on the counter. You don't see it melting second by second, but check back later and half of it's gone. Investing isn't about turning it into fire. It's about putting it in the freezer, building to a bigger revelation. Now let's zoom out. This invisible tax doesn't just affect savings. It affects retirement timing, home affordability, wage satisfaction, even how rich or poor people feel. It's why older generations sometimes say, I made less money, but life felt easier. They weren't crazy. Their dollars did more. According to Fidelity, what felt like a comfortable retirement number 20 years ago, around $500,000, now often requires $1 million or more to generate the same lifestyle. That's not lifestyle inflation. That's monetary erosion. So what do you actually do about this? Not hype, not panic, not gambling. Here are 3 grounded steps. Step 1, stop thinking in dollars, think in purchasing power. Ask, what will this money buy in 10 years? Step 2, don't let all your money sit still. Cash is a tool, not a strategy. Step 3, align investments with time, not fear. The longer your time horizon, the less dangerous volatility becomes and the more dangerous inflation becomes. Look, most people aren't bad with money. They're just playing a game where the rules were never explained. The invisible tax doesn't punish laziness, it punishes inaction. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You don't need to beat the system. You just need to stop quietly losing to it. If this helped you understand money a little better, hit subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.